Well, it's kind of a wet and rainy day, so I thought this would be a good time to try out my new tire pressure monitoring system on my Ryobi lawnmower. And it just came in the mail. I got this one from Amazon. I did some price shopping and they all cost about the same. This one here, I got that right side up? Yes, I do. This one here was around $21, something like that. I'll have some more information posted down below. So, since it's raining, can't mow the grass, we're getting down to the end of the season where we may be only doing one more mow for the season and the year before we put it away for the winter. So I've already opened this up. And one thing I wanted to do was read the instructions, which are super small. So what a lot of us are doing and finding out now is we get these super small instructions, and we've got to take pictures of them so we can blow them up on the phone or on the computer so we can actually read them. So I did a little reading on that. The tire pressure monitoring system comes pretty well packed. It's got a lot of foam padding on it, so it's pretty safe to get shipped. The monitor itself is pretty compact. There's not a lot of instructions on how to mount this in the advertisements on the website links, and they don't even give you a model number, so you can't even look up any information such as the like an owner's manual or something like that. So it comes with this, comes with the 4 tire sensors. You can get them with up to 6 tire sensors, or you can get them with 2 tire sensors to use them on a bicycle, I guess, or a motorcycle. Comes with the USB plug, and it comes with 4 little lock nuts, or what they call anti-theft nuts, and it comes with a little wrench to put the nuts on, and also comes with a adhesive pad to stick your meter or your gauge wherever you want. Normally this would go on like the top of the dash, for example. You can stick it right on the top of your dash. So what I did was I opened this thing up, read the instructions, and decided to go ahead and get the battery. There's a little battery in here. It must be very small because it didn't take very long for it to charge, and it was low. So to turn this on, you push the power button, hold it for 3 seconds, it beeps, and now it's turning on. Lights are flashing because it doesn't sense any pressure. So the next thing it says to do is to install the pressure sensors. So I'm going to go ahead and do that next. The sensors are all labeled. So for example, this one here is front left, FL. So I'm going to start here with right rear. Remove your plastic cap, and you're supposed to put the lock nuts on, but I'm going to do that in a little bit. So screw that on. I'm going to say not too tight. And it looks like it really sensed that 1 tire pressure monitor, and it started beeping. So I'm going to move over to the front and do the front right. I think another reason it's beeping is because it's sensing that the tire pressure is too low. And we're going to have to change the settings on that. We'll do that next. There we go. Looks like it sensed the second one. Right now the units is bar. So you can see it's sensing. One is at 0.7 bar, one's at 0.8. So if I orientate this like it would be on the car, then you can see the right rear and the right front are correctly oriented, just like it would be on a car. So I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the sensors on because it looks like this is going to work, and I'm going to do the lock nuts. So I'm going to remove this sensor and put the lock nut on. and we'll do this on all 4 of them. So just screw the lock nut on all the way. Don't snug that up yet. Oops, it fell off the other end of the valve stem. Because this doesn't screw on very far. It's only got a few threads. And when you push it on, what it's basically doing is pushing down on the Schrader valve that allows us to sense pressure. So that means that this has to actually be sealed against air pressure, whereas right now you can take the cap off and it doesn't leak, but now it's going to be pressurized right up into the sensor. One other thing to show you is that changing the battery, this wrench is the same size as the plastic cap. So when we're tightening this up, we want to make sure that we're going to tighten up the this brass looking nut and not get the wrench on here. But this does come in handy for changing the battery. The battery's inside here, and it's got an O-ring seal, so it's well sealed from the elements. And here's the battery. That battery is a CR1632. That's 1632. So these batteries are all replaceable. I don't know if it'll give you a warning. Anyway, you just tighten that back up, finger tight, which is pretty tight because you got that O-ring. You'll feel it when you do it. So like I said, I put this on and not very tight, and then take the jam nut or this lock nut, thread that on, and use the wrench to snug that up, and that'll keep this from vibrating or falling off, and for somebody to also come into your garage and steal all your sensors off your tires. All right, so I've got all the sensors mounted on the 4 tires. Hopefully got them correctly oriented. I'm going to go ahead and power this thing back up. We'll see if it finds them. Looks like it sees one. Now, one thing I read in the instructions is you're supposed to have this power unit on. So I'm going to go unscrew the sensors and see if when I reapply them that then it'll sense the sensors are being paired and mounted to the vehicle. So let me give that a shot. There, it picked up the next one. So don't put the sensors on the wheels until you get this thing powered up. Otherwise, you're just going to have to take the sensors off and put them back on. For mounting the TPMS system, I was giving this a little bit of thought. I thought about doing it here on the side. We're here. We're down here between my legs. It's not really flat. You could do it over on the side. I think I'm going to go ahead and go with this. I don't want to do anything too crazy like trying to mount it inside the plastic and start doing some more cutting. I want to kind of keep it simple. Don't want to put it on the side too much in case I start hitting branches. This is going to be susceptible enough to getting caught by something. But that will also give me a pretty good view of it from the driver's seat. Hopefully I can see that. We'll see how that works out in bright sunlight. So I'll just use the double-sided sticky patch tape that comes with it. Going to stick it there. The power cord's going to come out the side over here, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and plug that in and run that inside here. Put a hole or a slot and run that inside the instrument panel, because we know we've got 12 volts over here when the key is on. So here's the box that it came in. And as you can see, it's not a lot of information on there. Nothing's checked there. And there's a barcode on here. And I did do a search for the QP5186 on YouTube, and there was a web link that showed how to program this. It left out some details which I put into my video as far as mounting the sensors on the wheels. And I left out a key part of the programming, which is that when you're done programming it, that you need to confirm your program changes, otherwise it won't remember them. So let's get this thing powered on. You hold the power button for 3 seconds. That gets it turned on. Then you go to the menu button and you press and hold that, and that puts us into unit. And then we can go back and forth. Well, we're going up or down. So let's go back to units. There we go, unit. It looks like there's a 0 here. And if I press menu again, I believe that it's flashing on bar. Yeah, it's flashing on bar. And I can hit the left or right button, I believe. And it switches from bar to PSI. So we're going to go to PSI. And then if I hold it, that should take us out of this. And now you can see that the pressures have changed to PSI on the display. So instead of bar, now I've got some reasonable tire pressures on there. And I thought I had the pressures on the tires at around 12 PSI, maybe up to 15. Of course, it's kind of cold out, but I'll look it up and see what the recommended tire pressures are. I know they're slightly different for the front and the rear. Okay. So back into the menu. So let's move on to number 1, displayed here on the left. So right now it's on centigrade. So I'm going to press and hold. No, just press it. So now centigrade's flashing. I'm going to hit this button and it'll change it to Fahrenheit. And then I can press and hold this and that'll lock Fahrenheit in. So now we can see that the temperatures have been updated to Fahrenheit. And of course it's about 50 some degrees outside. So all the tire pressures are pretty close, tire temperatures are all pretty close to the same, right around 50 to 53. So now this does have an alarm system. I don't know if it's going to be any use. You can also see that the battery gauge is down to 2 bars. It was fully charged up to 3 bars, and this thing has not been on very long. So the battery is not going to last very long. So it's going to depend on a power plug or the solar power to keep it charged up. So that'll be interesting to see how that works out. So let's go back into the menu. There's units. So we did, nope. So 1 is, I believe, the pressure and the temperature. No, it's the temperature. 2, pH 44. I think that's the high pressure limit. So we want to set the high pressure limit down to and that's going up. So the high pressure limit, we want to set it down to, say, 20 psi. Not that that really means anything unless you overpressurize your tires. Oops, and it won't go down below 24. So that's interesting. Oh, the high temperature, high pressure, so 24. So then we'll hit menu, we'll go back into the menu, we're on 2. Then we'll hit 3, pressure low. So now we'll set this one. We're going to set that down to, let's see if it'll go down to like, and it won't. I thought it was going to be working as low as 0, but it doesn't look like it does. So it looks like it only goes down to 16. So the warning system is not going to work. So back into the menu. No, 1, 2, 3, pressure low, pressure high, and I can't, oh, this is probably has something to do with changing out the sensors. So this is sensor 1. This is all part of the, and I'm just going to exit out of that to avoid changing that. So the good news is that it looks like this works. It's pretty much plug and play. And the other thing that there was a warning inside the instructions that said that if you wanted to reset it to factory settings, and this scared me a little bit, that you had to put the sensors on and take the vehicle up to 30 kilometers per hour, which is 19 miles per hour. And of course, the Ryobi doesn't go 19 miles per hour. Maybe with the wind behind it and going downhill, it might. Well, I think it already did. It's giving us a warning. We've got low tire pressure. That's probably why there's that red blob there on the hood of the car. Yeah, see, it's a warning telling us we got low tire pressure. So on the underside of the unit, there's a rectangular outline there, and that happens to be the same size as this double-sided sticky foam tape. So I'm gonna just rub it down real quick and stick it on there. And rub that in. And then I'm going to go clean the mower off. All right, mower's cleaned off. Get that backing taken off of there. Back to the mower. Give that a little wiggle and a little press, and there it is. It's going to be interesting to try and get that off because it's not screwed on. So looks like I'm just clearing the instrument panel in case I got to take the instrument panel off, which I will, to maybe try to reroute the wire. But so there it stands. So there I've got the power cord plugged into the TPMS system and the USB port on the mower. Right now it's running on battery power, and the solar symbol is on the meter. So it means it must be getting some power through the from the sun through the solar panel. It's still flashing at 2 bars. I can turn the mower on. Of course, that'll power the USB port. Blue light's on. So I found an alternate cable that has the same plug as this one, except it's black. So that'll clean this up a little bit without having that stark white plug hanging out there. And from a previous project, I found this. This is a 12 volt to 5 volt converter, up to, I believe it's up to 3 amps. Yeah, that's what it says right there. 12 volts in, USB out, 5 volts, 3 amps. And this has 3 USB ports on it, and the input is 2 wires for 12 volts. So let me pull this out of the package. These converters are readily available online. I'll find one in it's a reasonable price. I think they're probably around $6 or so, maybe up to 10. So we got our 12 volts, oops, getting tangled here a little bit. 12 volts in, 2 USB ports out. Of course, we're just going to use the one and plug that end into here, one way or the other. And then we're going to connect these 2 wires up to the 12 volts that's supplying the USB port on the mower. That's the plan. So instead of, you can cut a slot in here, and I'll go ahead and pull this cover off real quick. I'm going to have this off about 20 times for the various projects. Every one of them has been fun. So here's the USB port. I can stay on there. We just got to take these 2 wires off, try to get myself enough slack. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put I'm going to drill a hole through the plastic. Got to find a decent place that's going to be right about here so we don't bend the wire too much. Unfortunately, this wire loop is going to be hanging out here, and it's going to be susceptible to getting caught on a branch or something like that, but I don't want to make this overly complicated. The easiest thing for anybody to do really is to just run the plug from here to here, and you're done. It'll power up when you turn the key on. It's not going to drain power when it's off. Me, I'm going to get a little fancier. I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole in here somewhere. You got to be careful because there's a lot of metal underneath here. I can actually drill it straight down in here. Yeah, it's plastic. That might be a little cleaner, so it'll be going in about like this. Try to give a little bit of slack. It'll pop up here. As I said, we got it plugged in here into the converter. Then these two wires, I'm going to jumper them into these two wires. So I just need to get these unplugged, and I'm going to create a little couple jumper wires in here that can just plug in and plug out. There we go. Not a lot of slack on these two wires, so it'll be easier to just put a jumper in here. So I need looks like a standard spade and then a medium-sized spade. So I'm going to go ahead and rig those up. Okay, I went ahead and put a little splice in here. So and I also double-checked the voltage. The large spade is 12 volts. And the smaller spade is negative ground. So we can take the my new converter, we can plug that in there and here. Come on, don't make me a liar. There we go, got it backwards. Oops, let's get that large one back on there. That's a little tighter. And then this one will plug into here. Like so. And the large spade. You can see now I should have made this connector a little bit larger. The wire's a little bit longer. But it's all going to work. So I should now have power to that. That's going to be a little difficult to confirm because USB's lit up, so there's power going to that. And unfortunately, we'll see if it's if the charging light on the battery's working. So the battery's showing 3 bars. If I unplug it, it shows 2 bars. So that means it is in fact charging, or there is power going to that. All right, so the last thing to do is to drill my hole and take this wire, and I'm going to cut it. Cutting a slot in here was not going to be quite as easy because this thing is surrounded by steel frame. This side here is plastic, so if you want to go the slot method, which actually, well, it just means we have to run the wire over to here, which isn't the end of the world. So what you can do, you just run the wire across from here and go in between these 2 pieces of plastic and set the panel right down on top of it. Like so. And then of course this will all be underneath there. So that doesn't look too bad. Hopefully it doesn't pinch the wire off too bad. But I'm going to go ahead and do the drill hole method and put it in through here. Keep everything on this side. So we're going to very quickly check for voltage. I've got it plugged in. We turn the key on. So I should have 5 volts to one of these or a couple of these connections. So I'm going to start with the black and the red. And that happens to be 5 volts. Red is positive, black is ground. So I don't need the green and the white. Those are probably the communication wires for when you're actually using this as a real USB plug. But just for charging, we just need the black and the red. So I've got one of my drill bits out of my dull drill bit collection, which is, actually I don't know if it's sharp or dull. And just for your information, I do have sharp drill bits, but I kind of keep them protected for when I really need to do something clean and neat. So this is I trimmed this wire down a little bit. So just to double check, I'm going to run that down, I think right here. So there's a hole. Wire goes through there. It's enough slack so we don't actually kink something. So it's going to look pretty clean like that. So I just need to pull this wire up here so I can strip it and get it connected back up to the other end. This one should be a little sharper. A little more controllable. There we go. Peel that back. Aluminum foil. Green and white. Snip. And we'll strip that off. And I really don't have shrink tubing that goes this small, so I'm just going to twist it, solder it, and put some electrical tape on it. Hope I don't have to disconnect this again, but got enough room there that I can always cut it and resolder it. All right, let me get my soldering gun. Put a little flux on. Solder's ready. So we got the, put it down in the low setting. There's some solder on there. I think I got a little on there. Yeah, down there at the bottom. All right. Okay. Plug this in. Double check it. Turn this on. 3 bars, 2 bars. So it must be providing power to the gauge. Off and off. All right, I'm gonna get a little zip tie, wrap up these wires a little bit so they're not hanging down on the ground underneath there. And we're gonna be done. These are the 2 wires from the volt gauges, the 4-volt gauge project. Reduce the rat nest a little bit. Okay. It's too bad. I'm gonna tie it right here. 2 wires hanging there, circle plugs off, but at least I'm gonna look first. Too much weight. Okay. Those 2 are plugged in. Those 2 are plugged in. Put that back down on there. Full screw started. There. Last test. Power on. Gauge on. 3 bars. Unplug it. 2 bars. I assume there's power going in there. I turned the key off. It went down to 2 bars, no power here. So that's not too bad. It looks pretty clean, pretty neat. Of course, we'll check, make sure I still have my volt gauges on the side, and I do. 13.5, 13.5, 13.5, and 13.3. After I consulted my owner's manual, I discovered that the correct air pressure is closer to 18 and 19 psi. 19 in the front, 18 in the rear. So I'm going to add some air. That seems to have quieted down the alarms. I've got the tire pressures jacked up in all 4 tires now. It's a bit of a nuisance to put air in the tires because you have to loosen the lock nut, unscrew the cap, and then put it all back together again. But now the alarms are off, and our low pressure alarm is set at 16 psi, so that should work pretty good. So I've got the TPMS system mounted up, and it turned out a lot better than I thought, especially after I checked the owner's manual for what the correct tire pressures are. 19 in the front, 18 in the rear. So the low pressure alert on the TPMS is set at 16 psi, so that works out pretty good. I wouldn't mind of having that set a little bit lower, but at least it's not beeping alarms, it's not flashing, so it's looking pretty good. I got all the pressures between 18 and 20 right now, so this is pretty good. One of the reasons that this was so important is because last year, you keep telling yourself you're going to check your tire pressures, and we never do. And last year I had a flat tire while I was mowing the grass, and you couldn't hardly tell, but the tire actually came separated from the rim. So I limped my way back into the garage, went to air it up, said, well, might as well check the other tire pressures. And one of the other tires was flat and came off the rim. That one I had to get a tie-down strap put around it with a ratchet so that I could squeeze the tire to get it to actually expand to reach the rim again. And I got that one aired up. So anyway, tires are all aired up. Now it's a very easy check to check your tire pressure on your tires. I'm liking it so far. Thanks for watching.